Our vehicle now speeds along at a normal rate instead of incredibly fast or incredibly slow. And now we want it so that we, instead of just driving straight through this box, actually can collide with it. In order to simulate physics in our world, we actually need to add something to both our obstacle and vehicle. And we will do that using our components. So, our component system can add a lot of different properties that people regularly uses. In this case, a property that people will commonly use for physics is a rigid body, which is a physics concept and in this case allows us to interact with this truck here. With this truck here that we have as if it had real simulated physics on it. So now it is a solid object. You can see that on the rigid body component in our inspector. Click on add component. Here we will type rigid body, not rigid 2D, rigid body. Click on this. In our inspector, it has a mass, so we can actually make this heavier. We can use gravity. So there is all of these different options. And then on our obstacle, we can also go and with our obstacle selected in the inspector, we click add component and add a rigid body. So now our obstacle and our vehicle both have rigid bodies, which means they are using physics. They both have mass, they both use gravity, so that is really helpful. And then one other important component to note in our list of component and our obstacle and our vehicle is actually these mesh collider. This one, mesh collider. Chico vehicle, it is also mesh collider here that we have on both of our objects. And our collider are basically our ways of telling our simulated world that these objects can be collided with. So it knows that because there is a collider on this, when it runs into something like the ground or when it runs into something like our vehicle, it should do something like make it stop because we have a rigid body on it. So if we actually press play, you can see our vehicle collides with our carrot. It goes flying off. It goes flying off. See, if we were to turn any one of these things off, for example, on our obstacle, if we turn off our mesh collider, on our obstacle, turn off, and now play again it. Look at the carrot. It goes straight through the ground, and that is because of our mesh collider. Goes down. Is telling our game world that the box no longer collide with our road. So therefore it can just fly straight through because it is not supposed to collide. So really fun things that you can do and just to kind of make our little driving game simulation a bit more realistic. We are gonna increase the masses of these two objects just to make it a bit more fun, make it interesting and amazing. So we will make our obstacle, our little carrot, maybe 20 kilogram, 20 or so. Change mass in rigid body to 20, and then mass of our vehicle, we will also change it to, I don't know, maybe to 1000. So now this has even more weight behind it, so that when it hits that box, you will see a slightly different effect happen. If we press the play button, sorry, we will turn on mesh collider on our obstacle. Now play the press button. After changing the masses, so it took much longer for that carrot to fly over the vehicle because it was much heavier. So one little things you can do to create better simulated worlds in your games, using things like colliders to tell your objects to know when they have collided with something like our vehicle in our box, or even our box in our road, using rigid bodies to be able to create physics on our objects. So that way our obstacle actually has weight, our vehicle has weight, and we are using gravity, so it is actually being pushed down into the ground at all times. Last but not least, we should duplicate the obstacle and make the road more treacherous for the vehicle. Press Ctrl D or Command D to duplicate the obstacle and move it down the Z axis about 25 meter or so. Repeat this a few to create more obstacle. So create more obstacle, we will duplicate it. Control, make sure it you select the obstacle in hierarchy. Control D. Look at, I duplicate the obstacle and we will move it on Z axis through move tool, or you can also change it from inspector and transform component. So I will change from here and look at the transform component in the inspector. The Z position is changing. I will move it to 20, 50, 50. And again, I will click on this and will control D, it duplicate and will make it to 75 on Z axis. 75. Uh, maybe 75. Again, I will click on this one and also will click shift and on select two, and now we will create two duplicate of this because we selected two obstacle in hierarchy. So control D, look at it is now duplicated two times. So I will change first obstacle 3 position, then obstacle 4. I will move it to 100, and the third one, the last one, fourth, to 125. Now if I zoom it, you will see that we have four obstacle on the road, and now it will be more realistic and it will be more enjoyable. I will also make another duplicate of this one, control D, and we'll make it to 150 direct from inspector. 150. And now I will play the game by clicking the play button, and we'll see what happened. Look at this. Wow.
Thanks for watching and see you in next video.